Hey guys, this is Cristian Urena Yugioh. Thank you guys for watching my first video on my channel. It really means a lot to me. I promise it won't just be only deck profiles. I'll try to have some discussion videos and other projects that I'll be working on. It just so happened that I played like one of my favorite decks at this past regional this weekend, and we got Transaction Rollback that just came out. So I figured I'd make a video on my deck and kind of just the reasons why I like this deck more than the regular Labrynth deck, and kind of why I like certain ratios and just other cards that I've played. Yeah, this is my first, again, like this is my first video, so I appreciate if you guys have any comments or any videos you want me to make specifically about like specific decks or cards or tier list or pretty much any ideas at all. I'll take anything. So yeah, I'll start with the monsters. So my deck's 40 cards. I always play 40 cards if I can. This deck, the most important card in the deck is probably Ariana. You want to see her as much as possible. So you want to play 40 cards and all the max consistency cards. She looks really well. There's a bunch of 2-card combos with her and like a furniture. So yeah, she's definitely the heart and soul of the deck. Then the next, probably like some of the best going second cards, the furnitures. These are just so good. Pretty much against every deck, unless it's like a super crazy combo deck, you can usually outgrind them just by having these in your hand, and then discarding them to get access to like your big welcomes. And it's just like an infinite resource tool. Just drawing one of these, you have them the rest of the game. So as long as you play correctly. And then to accompany those as well, you have triple Ku Clock. These are just really amazing paired with Chandelier, Stovey, and Ariana. These come with 2-card combos. I guess 2.5-card combos because you have to have a card to discard. You just always want to open up this going second with these. It's really good. If you open up Ku Clock and a piece of furniture, it's just really strong. And then on top of it, now we got Transaction Rollback, so you can play on Ash. And sec. And then for hand traps, I played triple Nibiru, triple Ash, and triple Impermanence. So these were the most generically good. At regionals, you just want to play something that's pretty well-rounded, I guess, for the whole format. Impermanence is actually super broken in this deck, because when you do draw the furniture pieces and Transaction Rollback and Impermanence, you have 2 copies of Impermanence in your hand, basically. So it's like you're playing 6 copies of Impermanence sometimes. Just another way to interact with your opponent. This came up a lot all weekend, and it's really strong, honestly. Like, Impermanence is really good. Ash Blossom is just generically good. I guess the Despia decks, Mirror Matches, Rescue Ace. Pretty much every deck is Ash. I played against Manadam and I actually just ashed on his field spell and he passed, so that was like really good. And Nibiru just works amazing with all the furnitures. If you don't know, if you go channeling 1 Nibiru, channeling 2 furniture, it'll still clear all the monsters in play. Neither player gets a token and you still get the set of cards. So it's really strong in this deck. This deck is really good. Again, like, you have infinite resources, so if you get, as long as you get that next turn with a trap, you almost always win because you just kind of snowball from there, and it's really hard to come back from that position for any deck, honestly. And then the last 3 monsters, One Lovely. She's a brick. You have to play her. She's so broken when you summon her off of your big welcomes and bounce a card. And not bounce cards, but you need her and Lady to bounce cards with the big welcome second effect. A lot of people don't like playing One Lady because they like playing 2 because it's really good in the mirror matches. I was a fan of just 1 because she's very bricky. She doesn't work with a lot of your 2-card combos. She doesn't work with any really 2-card combo. The only 3-card combo you can argue with while going second is when you draw like Storby and a big welcome in her, and that's at best that's a bounce and you get the Storby back, which is not like super great, but sometimes it is like you have to do. So, but yeah, I would advise not playing multiple copies of her. She's only good in a mirror match, and like that's not enough reason to play another copy of her. And she's very recyclable against like all your cards are recyclable. That's why you only play One Lovely as well. She's there when you need to get her. It's not like super important. And when you do draw her, you get to set Transaction Rollback off her effect and then pop with Shavara. So it is pretty good when you get to do that. Or like if you summon Ariana, and you really need another extender that you can't like, and you're like not in, you're to use your furnitures or they're not in rotation, you can just summon her, add love lady, and then special, or if you need like a body. She's also good to play around impermanence randomly. So if you draw like, for example, if you draw like the Labrynth field spell or Kuklok, and Ariana, if you want to play around impermanence, you don't want your Ariana to get stopped. You can start with the field spell, special summon lady, summon your Ariana, activate her effect. If they impermanence her, you'll at least get a lady set, which is not the worst. It's kind of nice to play around impermanence a little bit. Yeah, and that's for all the Labrynth monsters and hand traps. And then the other card I play is Shavara, and I guess I'll go over Escape as well. But yeah, these cards are very controversial right now. People don't like them because they're bricky. Shavara is like not the worst draw because you can always like worst case summon it and make a Soul Rage. So even if you draw like a really bad hand, it's like let's say your hand's like Ash, Shavara, like you use the pot and you have another dead pot. Worst case, that's at least 2 interruptions, and it's just like yo Shavara, pop the back row, summon Shavara, normal Ash, make Rage, and then you can Rage. You can Rage link away your opponent's monster to make Anguish. And then you set the escape obviously earlier because of the Shavara. And then you'll escape, pop the Anguish, pop their monster, add back follow up. You can add back Shavara or whatever you have in rotation at that time, and it's still like very fine. And that's the worst case, right? Worst case, it turns into 2 interruptions with any other monster, any set card. Escape is a hard brick, but it's so good. Like being able to turn your end, like any 3 lab monsters into any 3 lab monsters or any 2 lab monsters in a card to set into 3 interruptions is really strong, and I really value that in this deck. Also, while going second, it gives your deck a whole like new dimension, right? Because now you have like access to Anguish, access to like SP, Anguish into SP, or Anguish into Abomination, and then you can end on Typhon on top of those as well. So it just lets you have so many more plays that the regular Labrynth deck doesn't have, and I personally wouldn't play this deck without these. Yeah, it was just really good for me, and I definitely advise on playing these. It was just so good, and I played the same deck for Bologna, and it was really well for me there too. I lost the tier element. That's just like a really bad matchup when they had the mill 5s. Yeah, and that rounds off the monsters and the Unchained package and the hand traps. But I wouldn't change anything. I think these ratios are really solid. I played the exact same ratios at Bologna, because I mean I just didn't find anything wrong. I played 3 Arias, but I did not like Arias because she's a brick. She doesn't work with rollback. There's never a time you'd rather add Arias off of Ariana than any other card in your deck. Like I talked to my friends about this a lot, and I was like, why am I playing this card? She doesn't work with almost any of the 2 card combos. She's a brick half the time, and she doesn't work out with the new card that just came out. So if you draw her with rollback, it does absolutely nothing. You don't really want to activate a trap card on your opponent's turn. Like Welcome doesn't do anything unless you draw another piece. So even if you draw Arias, it doesn't work with any one other card. It has to work with 2 more cards. So it's always a 3 card combo card, and it's not something that's really good in this deck. Especially when you're trying to like cut as many bricks as possible, and you're trying to play 40, you're trying to draw Ariana, you're trying to kind of just see all your deck. So she did not make the cut. Yeah, she just did not make the cut. And then one Labrynth field spell, just self-explanatory. This is like the ultimate grind card. Once you have this in play and you have your stuff in rotation, it's pretty much impossible to lose. It's a mandatory card to play against Rescue Ace because they can't really interact with this on Lady. That's another reason why I guess I play them on Lady, is just it's really good against Rescue Ace. They can't target it, they can't destroy by card effects. It's just really strong. And on top of the field spell, destroying all their stuff is just really good. Also against some fusion decks, like where it's a lot floaty, it's just really strong being able to pop all the big monsters and bring back stuff off the second effect. For spells, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I believe this is correct, and I will always play this in this deck. 3 Extravagance and 3 Potter Prosperities. These cards are just so good. Again, like, I want to draw my cards. I want to draw my best cards as often as possible. I don't care if I draw Extravagance and Prosperity together. This deck is so good that you can discard the extra cards with your furnitures. Not Glue Collect. But you can discard your extra cards with your furnitures, and if you draw Ariana, you get the furniture also, obviously. So I don't see the reason why you wouldn't max out on these. They're just the best cards in the deck easily. I always want to draw these cards opening hand if I can. If I draw multiples, it's also fine because you can discard them. So I do not see the reason why not to play 6. We played 5 pots in the cash deck, and I would have played 6 if Pot Desires was at 3. So I don't see any real difference why not to play the max amount. Also, it comes up a lot where your opponent will Ash your Extravagance, and then you can Prosperity anyway. So even same thing happened in the cash deck when you Desires, and then they Ash, and then you can Prosperity. That synergy that happens sometimes, which is just a bonus of playing both of them together. Obviously, you want them to Ash this because then your other stuff goes through sometimes as well. And it's actually correct to Ash. Like a lot of people won't tell you this, but like it's very correct to Ash Prosperity and Extravagance, and it's even correct to Ash Ariana as well. People like holding it for. Hard to find a third one, but yeah, people like holding Ash for Welcome, and they're just gonna get punished every time they have Roback. And let's say I don't even have Roback in my hand, and I go, like Ariana add clock or furniture or the missing furniture piece. You'd rather just stop me from even getting that access to those cards, because the second I get like say, if my hand is Ariana and Q-Clock, and if you Ash Ariana, I'm not getting access to Big Welcome anyway. And if my hand is Ariana and Stovey, if you stop me getting access from Q-Clock, I'm not activating Big Welcome that turn anyway either. So it's better to just Ash the Ariana and stop it completely from happening, because if you don't Ash this, I get my Q-Clock, I get my furniture in the graveyard, I go Q-Clock, discard the furniture, bring back the Q-Clock, activate the Big Welcome. There, you can activate Ash Blossom, but by then it's already too late, because if I have any card I can set, or any extender like a Lady Labrynth, or any monster I can special summon, I can just make Yama. Yama or Shavara. Shavara can pop another back row, maybe a dead pot or something. Make Shavara, make Soul Rage, and I still have 3 interruptions through your Ash Blossom. You basically win -1. When I trigger my escape, I'm going to add back my furniture piece. I'm going to discard that furniture piece. I'm going to add back clock. I'm going to activate clock. I'm still going to get to the same thing on your turn. You just went -1. So that's something also to look at in this deck. Like, using your hand traps properly against this deck is super important. People just hand trap the wrong things, and everyone thinks it's like, oh, just hand trap the Big Welcome. That's like correct. But there's more punishes from ashing that than ashing the Ariana from the beginning. So, or the pots, because the pots are so broken. But then for traps, 3 Big Welcome and 2 Welcome. These are just the right ratio. I tried cutting Welcome to 1 because it is a brick, but you do need to see Engine, and I am maxing out on all the Engine I can play. One of the cards that you could play if you don't want to play the Unchained package, you can play Ariane. She's a little bit better in the pure build because they don't play Unchained cards, but you can end on Dweller and Biguska, which are also like pretty good ways to win as well. Like those cards are very good, and they might duplicate kind of what the Rage and the Yama do for the deck, but they're only going to work the times when you get access to Ariane, and Yama you can use whenever you have access to 2 Fiends. The second Welcome comes up a lot in the Grindier decks too, so I did like playing 2. I did try 1 for a while, but just ended up not working out. And 2 is just like the right number for me. And I hate 2 elves. Like on this channel, you will see that I hate playing 2 elves unless there's a specific reason. This is like the one card where like I really just needed the second one a lot, and just ended up coming up. And I'm happy to play the second one. I actually came up a couple times. But it's not a card that you can play 3 of because it is a brick, and there's no other 40th card I'd want to play right now. And Bologna was the same. I basically had the same reasoning in Bologna because my deck is basically exactly the same, besides the 3 Arias, and now it's 3 Rollback. This is just the best card in the game right now currently, I think. There's nothing better than this card. Resolving Big Welcome, resolving impermanences multiple times, being able to set this off your lady and popping with Shavara is just really good. Yeah, it's just the best card right now until at least like 2-3 weeks. I'll move on to my side deck. Again, it's more based on for regionals, but it is very similar to my side deck for Bologna because the format didn't change too much. So yeah, I'll just go over it. So 1 Magma, 1 Juris. There's still a lot of random Dark and Light decks. There's Manadium. There's still people trying to play T Element. These are decent in the mirror match as well. Dragon Link decks, so these are still very strong. And then I also played 2 shufflers. These are also really good. They're just really good against tier decks, Fire King, any deck that you want to shuffle back to graveyard, the mirror match, I would just put these in. They've been really well for me, and I would keep playing them in this deck. Some people main deck them too, which I don't mind either. It's always a card like I'm very close to adding to my main deck, then I'm like, these cards are bricks. I'm already playing Shavar and Escape. I don't want to add more cards that don't do anything. This is something that Ryan's been doing, and I didn't agree with it at first, but now that people are actually seeing a lot more hate for Labrynth, everyone's playing Ghost Spell, everyone's playing Ash, obviously, and other hand traps. So it's triple crossout and Call by the Grave, and obviously the Ghost Spell for the crossouts. Came up a couple times where just crossout Bell game 3 when you go first. These are really good. I have no issues with this. This actually randomly came up drawing it against like I forget what deck it was. I just like Bell to Revolt or something, I think it was, and it was like it was randomly good. You could play more copies of Bell. There's a card in my deck, my side deck. I'll show you guys that my girlfriend actually played over me, Lexi, and I think it might have been more correct to actually play those, but I was just more comfortable with Phantasme at the time. But so Triple Phantasme, the card I was talking about. This card is actually really good for me. Like, I played against a bunch of rogue decks at the regional, like Vanadium, Vanquish Soul, and I think it was like a Marine Cells like round 3 or something, and this card was just randomly really good. But yeah, again, you could decide you could decide Bell over the copies of this card if you want, but this card is just really strong. Also good versus Rescue Ace as well. Being able to draw into rollback and your furniture pieces going second is kind of how you can win going second. So this card just has really good synergy with the deck. And the last card was Triple Effect Veiler. Just another generic card that you can side versus multiple matchups, and you can take out dead cards. A lot of people don't know, or they always ask me, oh, what do you side deck out for certain matchups or whatever. And when you want to put these crossouts and a Call by the Graves in, and the Ghost Ball obviously, when you're going first, this deck is a super combo, so you don't need your hand traps when you go first. So I like to side out 2 Ash, 2 Impermanence, 2 Nibs. And it just depends on what depends on your matchup, obviously, because you can also add like another card or a Veiler because you want for your crossout. So like these 6 usually go for these 6 a lot of the time because you only need 1 of each for the crossouts. And this deck is so like if your combo resolves, you have like 6 or 7 interrupts anyway, so you don't need the backup from the hand traps in your hand like other regular decks do. You would just beat other decks with your engine, so you don't need to draw these on top of your deck unless the card's really getting us a specific matchup like Nib. Like if you're playing against like Salamangreat or a deck that really can't play around it, you can obviously keep these in and take something else out. And I'll show you something else that I also do just in case people are not familiar with this deck. And if there's more questions you guys have, feel free to comment and I can definitely help you guys out. I'll be answering every message on this video for sure. So I also don't like to keep in Escape and Welcome when I go second. Again, this is a little redundant because when you're going second, you're drawing 6. You're gonna be more likely to draw into Engine, so you don't need that second copy of Welcome. Escape is just a brick. I like to keep Shavar in because, again, like I said before, a lot of time you're cracking your opponent's board with Yama into Anguish, into Abomination, into SP or whatever it may be. Escape is just a brick. You don't want to draw it, so you'd rather just take these out for something playable. And then you can always set out like whatever dead card for that matchup, whether it be Nibiru, Impermanence, or Ash, or some hand trap, or whatever dead card you have for that matchup. Sometimes you have to side out some amount of pots. It just depends on what deck you're playing against and how important you think that card is versus that deck. And if you have like a specific matchup you have questions for me to what I would side out for, I'll also answer that too. Just make sure to comment and I got you guys with that as well. And then for the extra deck, I played 3 Yama, 3 Soul Rage. These are the only mandatory 3-ofs because of Extravagance. If you banish 3 of one, it's really bad because then you can't really do anything with your combo. If you banish 2 of each and you still have 1 of each, you're fine. You're golden because you can still do the play you need to do. Sorry. I've seen people cut this to 2, but it doesn't make sense to me because if you banish 2 of your rages, your Yama doesn't end up on anything besides maybe like an Anguish, and you set an escape. So it doesn't do enough. And I just want to make sure if I can Yama and end on rage, and then I guess I'll show you guys the cards you can make with the rage. I guess you can also technically make Abomination. So then, yeah. So as long as this resolves and you have Soul Rage, even if you banish 3 of these, as long as you have 1 of them, it's still fine. Even making Dark is like very okay. Like it's not the end of the world. That's 2 interruptions compared to what you would normally have, so that's still fine. But yeah, so yes, but Anguish. Anguish is necessary for the Abomination lines. It's also really good with Escape, so that means you can Rage first, make Anguish, then escape it away. You're not forced to use Escape first on the Anguish to bring it back, to then make IP or SP or etc. So 1 SP, it's really good. I think 1 is fine. I don't think you need to, because all these cards come up so often that you want to play at least 2 of, like the 1 Muckracker, 1 Dark Charmer. These are just very good. They're generic. They come up all the time. When you Nibiru your opponent, sometimes you have to summon the token in attack mode, so you can make Dark Charmer to crash it in and then add your furniture piece that you're missing. So if you draw like, for example, if you draw like Nibiru and like Q Clock, and your opponent played into Nib, you get to Nib them. The next turn you get to normal the clock, link these 2 away for Dark, maybe bring something back, it depends. Crash it in, add Shane Draglayer, discard Shane Draglayer and another card. You get back the Q Clock back to your hand, or on the field, depending on what the situation is like. And you get to have, now you have access to Engine where you normally wouldn't have, so Dark is a mandatory, at least 1 of. Some people play 2, but I think 1 is perfect for me, and I've been not missing the second copy. Muckracker is just really good. It comes up with Lovely a lot, having to bring her back after she gets negated. So your turn 1 play when you big welcome her back out. If they negate her, you can make Muckracker bring her back and then reset. She doesn't come up as much in this version because your Yama can always add your Shibara, and then you can link the Yama with whatever other body you have, and then make you can make Rage or Anguish depending on the situation. Then you can trigger Shibara to pop that card, to banish the Yama, to bring Lovely back, and add a card back to your hand. So you actually get a card back from doing this, and you probably add back Shibara because you're setting back Escape, so you have another interruption on top of what you're already trying to do, which is basically bring back Lovely so she can reset a card for you. And then yeah, that's it for those. Yeah, Abomination Unchained. This just comes up when you're going second. You have to clear like really big boards because the normal Labrynth deck has an issue kind of struggling with even the Horus card and stuff like that. So being able to like Anguish and Abomination attack something else, pop something else it's very good, and I really like it in this deck. Comes up when your opponent has a really big board, because this can clear 1, this can clear another one, clear another card, and then end phase clear another card. And then you have like escape set as well alongside of it, and you can escape pop, and then Yama brings something else back. So it's just a really good card. I liked it. It didn't come up for me at the regional this time, but it's come up to me in the past so many times that I would still continue to play it. Yeah. 2 Typhon. I wish I could play 3, but again, this extra deck is so tight. You're only playing 1 of all the Link 2's generic ones and 1 of the Anguish. This card is very insane. Against Vanadium and other decks that obviously go into the extra deck. 2 Chaos Angel. Very surprised. I summoned this card once the whole weekend. And I usually make this card a lot. It just didn't come up as much this time, but it's Chaos Angel. It's broken. There's times where you can make it, bring it back with your field spell, and use it again, or make Yama, bring it back off Yama, and it's just so good. So that's it for the deck. Again, thank you guys for watching my first video. It really means a lot to me. If you guys have any questions or want me to do a specific video or maybe collab with someone else specifically, feel free to let me know. Yeah, and that's just pretty much it. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys for watching me.